would you do when faced with a jaguar in the heart of the Pantanal? In the blink of an eye, caretaker Jorge's life changed forever. A brutal attack, a scream in the darkness, and a story that will stir your emotions. Is the jaguar just a predator, or is there something more behind this tragic encounter? Get ready to dive into a case that awakens fear, curiosity, and reflection. Are you ready to uncover what happened that fateful night? So guys, this is Juninho Melo, your lifelong friend, bringing another breathtaking story on the Celebrity Farm channel. If you enjoy emotion and real stories, subscribe to the channel and leave a naughty like to strengthen our work. Let's unravel the case of caretaker Jorge and the Pantanal jaguar together. Comment now. Do you believe this jaguar acted on instinct, or is it a bad being? Show that you are fighting to win in life. Imagine a silent night in the Pantanal, where the sound of crickets is interrupted by a terrifying roar. That's exactly what caretaker Jorge faced. He, a simple man, worked at Fazenda São Bento, a place surrounded by rivers and untouched forests. Jorge took care of cattle, repaired fences, and lived in harmony with nature. But that night, nature showed its wildest face. A jaguar, silent and deadly, crossed his path. What makes such a majestic animal attack a human being? Is it instinct, hunger, or something deeper? The Pantanal is one of the largest wildlife sanctuaries on the planet. There, jaguars reign as supreme predators. They can weigh up to 150 kilos and have jaws capable of crushing bones. But attacks on humans are rare. According to the Onça Pintada Institute, less than 1% of encounters between humans and jaguars result in aggression. So why was Jorge the victim? Was he in the wrong place at the wrong time? Or has the farm invaded the jaguar's territory? These questions lead us to reflect on the coexistence between man and nature. Jorge was no stranger to country life. At 45 years old, he knew the dangers of the Pantanal. He carried a knife and knew how to identify animal tracks. But nothing prepared him for what happened. Witnesses say he was attacked while checking a fence near the river. The jaguar appeared out of nowhere like a figure in the darkness. In seconds, everything changed. How does such an elusive animal decide to attack? And what does this teach us about the balance of wildlife? Let's dive into this story. Have you ever stopped to think what it would be like to be face to face with a jaguar? What would you do? Run, scream, fight? Jorge didn't have time to choose. His story is a warning about the limits between man and nature. Stay with us because this case will make you question, who is the real invader in the Pantanal? Comment now. What would you do if you found a jaguar? Let's interact and discover what drives this wild instinct. Fazenda São Bento is a typical Pantanal property with vast pastures for cattle and areas of preserved forest. Located in the heart of the Pantanal of Mato Grosso do Sul, it is surrounded by rivers and wetlands, a paradise for local fauna. Jaguars, caimans, and capybaras are constant neighbors, but the expansion of farms has reduced the space for wild animals. According to studies by Embrapa, deforestation and intensive livestock farming reduce the jaguar's hunting territories, forcing them to move closer to human areas. Did São Bento unintentionally provoke the jaguar by limiting its space? Think about it. When nature loses ground, who pays the price? Jaguars are solitary and territorial animals. They hunt at night, using stealth to ambush prey, such as deer and wild pigs. An attack on humans, like Jorge's, is unusual. Experts say jaguars avoid confrontations with people unless they feel threatened or are hungry. Local reports suggest that the jaguar involved was an adult female, possibly with cubs. A mother protecting her offspring can be ruthless. Did Jorge, without knowing it, enter her territory? Or did hunger drive her to risk an attack? These questions make us reflect on animal instinct. Comment: do you think the jaguar attacked out of fear or out of necessity? What led the jaguar to attack Jorge? Let's analyze. First, the location. The attack occurred near a fence 200 meters from the river, a crossing area for wild animals. Second, the time. It was night when jaguars are most active. Third, the context. The region was facing a severe drought, reducing available prey. These factors created a perfect storm. Jorge alone may have been seen as a threat or easy prey. This tragedy teaches us that coexistence with nature requires respect and caution. Have you ever thought how small actions like walking at night in the Pantanal can have such serious consequences? This story is not just about Jorge or the jaguar. It's about the fragile balance between man and the environment. Fazenda São Bento is an example of how human expansion tests the limits of nature. Stay with us because we're still going to explore deeper details of this case. The Pantanal is a unique ecosystem, but it is under pressure. WWF data shows that 20% of the Pantanal's native vegetation has been lost in recent decades due to livestock and agriculture. This reduces the habitat of jaguars, forcing them to forage for food on farms. In São Bento, cattle were an easy target, and the human presence increased the risk of encounters. Imagine a jaguar as a dethroned king. Without its territory, it struggles to survive. This ecological conflict makes us ask, are we invading animals' homes or are they invading ours? The answer is not simple, but it requires action. Ecological corridor projects which connect preserved areas could reduce these clashes. Do you think man can coexist with predators like the jaguar? Why does a jaguar attack a human? Science offers clues. According to biologist Fernando Tortato from the Panthera Institute, jaguars attack when they are cornered, hungry, or defending their cubs. In Jorge's case, the 2024 drought in the Pantanal reduced natural prey, such as capybaras and deer. A hungry jaguar is a survival machine, capable of risky decisions. There is also the possibility that she has been provoked before, perhaps by hunters or workers, which increases her aggressiveness. Think of it like a cup overflowing. Each stressor, hunger, habitat loss, threat, pushes the animal to the limit. This analogy helps us understand that the jaguar is not bad. It is a product of the environment. Comment, do you think the jaguar is a victim or a villain in this story? Jorge's case is a warning. How to avoid tragedies like this. First, education. Rural workers need training to recognize signs of jaguars, such as footprints or scratches on trees. Second, technology. Electric fences and motion sensors can protect farms. Third, conservation. Supporting initiatives such as the Onça Pintada Institute, which monitors and protects these felines, is essential. A real story illustrates this. At Fazenda Jofre Velo, the installation of nightlights reduced jaguar attacks by 70%. These examples show that coexistence is possible, but it requires effort. What would you do to protect both man and jaguar? Why did the jaguar attack Jorge? As we have seen, the combination of drought, habitat loss, and the possible presence of cubs created a perfect scenario for the attack. The jaguar did not act out of malice, but out of survival instinct. Who is the real invader in the Pantanal? The answer is complex. Human expansion, like that of Fazenda São Bento, reduces the space for fauna, but workers like Jorge are also victims of this conflict. What can we do to prevent further tragedies? Education, technology, and conservation are the way. Initiatives such as electric fences and ecological corridors show that it is possible to protect human and animal lives. These answers lead us to reflect. Nature is not our enemy, but it demands mutual respect. Jorge's story touches our emotions. He was a dedicated worker, a father, a man who loved life in the Pantanal. His loss left a family in mourning and a community in shock. Imagine the pain of knowing that a loved one was the victim of something so unpredictable. But this story also inspires. Jorge's courage, who faced nature in his daily work, reminds us of human strength. At the same time, the Jaguar, a mother protecting her territory, teaches us about the preservation instinct. This duality, man versus nature, touches our hearts and makes us question our role in the world. Have you ever felt this conflict between admiring nature and fearing its dangers? Jorge's case has practical lessons for all of us. If you live or work in rural areas, learn to recognize signs of wild animals and avoid walking alone at night. For those in cities, supporting conservation NGOs, like the Onsa Pintada Institute, makes a difference. Every donation or sharing of information helps protect the Pantanal. Additionally, consuming products from sustainable farms reduces pressure on fragile ecosystems. Think about it. Your daily choices, like buying certified meat, can save lives, human and animal. What can you do today to protect nature? The story of Jorge and the Jaguar is a call to action. We cannot change the past, but we can build a future where man and nature coexist. This tragedy teaches us that balance is possible, but it requires effort, respect, and unity. Let's honor Jorge's memory by transforming this lesson into change. Comment now. What are you going to do to protect nature? Your attitude can be the first step towards a better world. If you've made it this far, congratulations. You're a successful person. Comment now. I will be able to achieve all my dreams. Subscribe to Celebrity Farm. Leave your like and let's transform the world together with respect and courage.